Max, how confident are you that Nets can get this done without Harden at 100%?
Oh, without Harden, it's going to be really tough. The Nets with Harden are a super duper team. Harden's the most important player on the team. He's the one you saw that when Harden's healthy, they win. They almost always win. When he's not, sometimes KD and Kyrie lose. They don't win as much as you would think. Playoffs are a little different, but Harden is the most important player on the team. Without him, they're not a super duper team. They're just a team with some stars. But you know who one of those stars might be? And this is kind of the least talked about theme so far from these playoffs, the resurgence of Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin was probably the difference in game one. If this dude gets back to most of what he was, remember, he couldn't dunk for a year and a half, couldn't even dunk. And now, oh, yeah, that looks like Blake Griffin. If Blake Griffin gets back to being an all-star or an almost all-star, which he's kind of playing at right now it's a different story. I mean, the Nets are so loaded that maybe even without their most important player, they could do it. But I can't say I'm confident that they would beat the Bucks. The Bucks missed a lot of open shots for the Nets to win that first game. They did get a big game for Blake Griffin. Can you count on Blake to do that reliably throughout a playoff series? I don't know the answer to that question. I would just say, with James Harden, they're smoking everyone. AD's hamstring or groin, that's like a hamstring. Look what happened. Harden, with this same issues, missed 20-something games this year. There's a good chance Harden misses this series. Then Blake has got to step up if the Nets want to win.
I'm confident because they have Kevin Durant. I'm so sick and tired of this James Harden, Kyrie. Everything in Brooklyn is about Kevin Durant. Everybody else is a sidekick. It's no knock against the future Hall of Famer and prolific scoring champion that is James Harden. It's no knock against Mr. Box Office himself, the best show in basketball, which is Kyrie Irving, because the brother is just a showstopper. It's just the reality that Kevin Durant is on another level. When healthy, he is the best player in the world. He is that lethal, the best offensive player in the world. It is just that simple. He is that lethal. Now, I'll tell you this. Here's another reason I'm not worried. Yo, Chris Middleton, how you doing, bro? What's going on, Chris Middleton? How's everything going, man? I mean, my name is Stephen A. We cover the game of basketball, even though people like Max look brilliant right now because he said there ain't no big three in Milwaukee. I'm here to tell you, Chris Middleton, there was supposed to be a big three. You were supposed to be a part of that. 6 for 23. Really? With no James Harden. You got Joe Harris looking like the second coming of Ray Allen. You got Blake Griffin. All right, I told you the brother could play. He just didn't want to play in Detroit. That's what that was all about. He just didn't want to play.
The biggest story in the NBA. No one's talking about right now.
He just didn't want to play, diving for loose balls on the floor, energizing the crowd in Brooklyn like Dennis Rodman did at the Palace in Auburn Hills.
Blake owes
or even at the Silver Dome.
Blake owes Detroit money. He owes Detroit money.
He didn't want to play. He didn't want to play there. I knew Blake Griffin could still play. He didn't want to be in Detroit. He was playing for nothing. And that's what we're seeing right now because he's interested in playing basketball again, okay? Don't tell me a 6'9" former Skywalker can't even dunk for 2 years. You ain't interested in playing. Well, he could dunk. He didn't want to play. Okay, but Chris Middleton, back to you. My brother, Milwaukee has no chance in this series if you don't show up. And if you could show up against Miami, how come you can't show up against Brooklyn, bro? How come you can't show up against Brooklyn? What's the problem? Drew Holiday, last time I checked, you get paid. What's up? I mean, what you gonna do? So I'm just looking at it, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, 34-11, just 3 times, but 0-3 from the free throw line. That stuff matters against Brooklyn because they don't miss free throws. Yeah. They don't miss free throws. This is how you got to pay attention to this kind of stuff.
Is Chris Middleton going to wind up in the Hall of Fame one day?
Well, in today's Hall of Fame, actually, never know.
Do you think Middleton's going to make?
He got a chance.
Middleton going to wind up in the Hall? Middleton ain't going to the Hall of Fame.
Max, he got a chance. The basketball Hall of Fame, Max?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, come on now. It ain't hard to get in that.
Don't
get me started with that. Ain't that hard?
Just go on the record. I don't think Middleton's making the Hall of Fame.
All right.
I don't think Drew Holiday's making the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and KD are all getting in. If there's a way to get in before the first vote, they'll get in before. You might as well just put them in now.
All right.
There are levels to this. How are you going to call that a big three compared to this?
Stop. No, I didn't say it's a big three compared. I'm saying you're supposed to have a version of your big three. In other words, if Chris Middleton shows up the way he did in Miami, hitting shots that he's supposed to hit. You still ain't Kyrie. You still ain't James Harden, but you're doing your job. And see, that's what you got to pay attention to. See, a lot of times you'll sit up there and you'll look at somebody on their perch. Like the big thing, we know KD, Kyrie, and James Harden on another level. We get that. But the point is, when you dissect one team going up against another, it really comes down to everybody doing their job. If they do their job offensively, if they do their job, because the Nets ain't in a top 20 team defensively.
No, they missed a lot of open shots, the Bucks.
If they do their job, then it's interesting. Remember, without Jaylen Brown, Boston was able to steal a game because guys showed up one night and helped Jason Tatum.
Let me put it this way. Is Chris Middleton the second best player on a championship team or the third best player on a championship team?
I think Chris Middleton at his best could be a second best player.
But the reason he's Chris Middleton is because he's not always like that. He's not Klay Thompson.
All right, Max.
Klay Thompson's always that.
But then, Max, then be quiet about the rest of the series then, because he's never going to do that. Right. What I'm trying to say, don't talk about it then.
No. What I'm saying is
this is what you need to do to win.
What I'm saying is two things. One, without James Harden, it's different because we saw that we have to acknowledge the Bucks also didn't shoot it well. They had looks that they didn't hit. And two, you say KD is the best player in the world, and then you have to quickly say offensively. And you know why you have to say that? Because pre-Achilles, if he was playing like that, we just say he's the best player in the world right now because his defense was crazy too. He got to be a very high-level defensive player. He will still accept the tough defensive assignment. He just doesn't do it very well right now. That's the part of his game that is not recovered fully.
No.
So that's why you're not saying he's the best player in the world.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.